and I got a good man. Yeah, talk to me. Talk to me. You still broke. You still broke. It's just miserable and sad. That's all they doing. That's you wish you can be in place. You doing all that. You doing all that. Yes, my life is very peaceful. Who is this who said that? Kel. Yes, my life is very, very, very peaceful. I live in a 7-bedroom house. I got a pool in the back with a basketball court. I got a gym in the basement. I got millions of dollars. I can buy what I want. Yeah. All that. And I'm happy as fuck. And I got a good man. Yeah, talk to me. There you go. It's nothing that, just how y'all can write words and y'all can make posts in capitals and y'all can blaze and y'all can post old pictures.
I don't usually agree with trying to humble someone by dragging up their past, but the way she moves with this new money is hard to ignore. Nobody needs to pull up old photos or bank statements to understand why people are reacting the way they are. There is absolutely nothing wrong with growing up without money. That part isn't the issue at all. The problem is the constant bragging and the way she talks down to others, acting like everyone else is broke, when it really wasn't that long ago that her own family was in that same position. For someone who claims to want to mentor young Black girls, that attitude comes off extremely off-putting. What makes it worse is how she shames people for not having money when hers is still very new. If people had treated her that way back then, it would have been called cruel and unnecessary. Now she's doing it, and her fans rush in demanding grace for her. Grace she rarely extends to anyone else. That double standard is exactly why people are getting fed up. The reality is Claressa is irritating a lot of people, and it's no longer just random critics. Former supporters are speaking out too. These aren't dramatic accusations, just simple observations that keep stacking up and becoming harder to ignore. And then there's the situation with Remy. It's clear Claressa is starting to get under her skin as well. Remy's response wasn't loud or messy, but it was very clear. When Remy steps out with her friends, the energy feels natural, not forced or performative, and that contrast stands out. People also keep pointing out the constant baby talk, which doesn't come across as warm or maternal, but rehearsed, almost competitive. Given Remy's IVF journey, the repeated emphasis on having a baby younger feels pointed, whether intentional or not.
I don't know if it's mayonnaise, but it's good.
One for Peyton NFL Man of the Year presented by Nationwide. It is Tom Wagner. What an incredible honor this is. It's not about the stats, it's not about what happens on the field. It's about Walter's legacy and fulfilling that legacy.
Can't copy that. That's awesome.
Walter's legacy and fulfilling that legacy.
Can't copy that. That's awesome.
Walter's legacy and fulfilling that legacy.
Can't copy that. That's awesome.
That was a deeply sensitive and personal journey, which is exactly why the comments don't feel accidental. They come across as subtle digs, the same way many people have been calling out. A lot of what Claressa says sounds like indirect shots at Remy, especially when she keeps bringing up women being older or hinting at cosmetic surgery. That's confusing, considering the only procedure Remy has ever openly discussed was a breast reduction. Yet Claressa and the group of followers backing her continue pushing a narrative that Remy altered her body, and even if she had, it wouldn't matter. Remy looks good regardless. The reality is, Remy's body at 30 was in better shape than Claressa's now, but that's not even the point. The comparison exists only because Claressa keeps forcing it. She constantly tries to line herself up next to Remy in ways she likely believes are subtle, but they never come across that way. Older viewers can see straight through it. The tactics are obvious, and the insecurity shows. Honestly, much of this backlash wouldn't even exist if Claressa moved more like Remy does. Remy stays low-key. She isn't broadcasting her personal life for validation. What she highlights are her wins, her work, and her business moves. Claressa has accomplishments she could easily center, yet she remains fixated on comparison, recreating outfits Remy wore years ago, emphasizing that Pap is upstairs, repeating that he loves her, and constantly bringing up having a baby. That obsession overshadows everything else. People aren't even focused on the fight anymore. The conversation keeps circling back to Pap's location in the house, the copying, and how visibly bothered she seems. None of that feels accidental. And another detail people overlook is how this relationship began publicly. He clearly didn't want to be front-facing. The only reason the public knows is because Remy pulled the curtain back and forced it into the open.
I definitely think she is in competition with Remy. I mean, if he's your man, you shouldn't be in competition. But I mean, he's your man, but he's her husband. They haven't got a divorce for a reason.
Is the competition the baby?
No.
How else can
Remy
Remy
all of it
compete?
is. I think all of it. I think that's why she's saying, I'm going to have a baby next year, and keep saying it because she's jealous of the baby.
Before that, he was comfortable staying hidden behind his marriage, avoiding public commitment, and keeping his moves away from scrutiny. Once that cover disappeared, everything shifted. Claressa has even admitted that Pap doesn't like social media attention, and that detail matters. Suddenly, he's always upstairs. Suddenly, he doesn't eat on camera. Suddenly, privacy is the priority. On its own, that's fine, but it also sets the stage for how this ends. This isn't wishing anything bad on them, it's pattern recognition. If things fall apart, he already has the cleanest exit possible. He can say he never liked the attention, never wanted the internet involved, and warned her from the start. Her constant posting and oversharing only make that exit easier. Meanwhile, Remy continues moving with quiet confidence. She isn't online proving anything or forcing narratives. That difference is why the comparison feels so one-sided. Claressa keeps redirecting attention toward competition instead of her own achievements, and the more she does it publicly, the more it reveals insecurity rather than success. When someone keeps measuring themselves against another person, it usually says more about their mindset than their wins.
Baby next year. We already have it planned out. I'm gonna have a baby next year. And then after I go through my stuff, then I'll come back and fight some more, and then probably have another one, and then do the same thing again. Like, I don't want to wait till I'm, 40, 43, whatever, after my career to have my kids.
Right.
I want to be able to run at the park with my kids and stuff like that. I don't want to be too old. So I think that keeping my body in shape, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I think that'll also help me too while I'm going through this whole body and life changing stuff.
Remy's approach feels grounded and intentional. She understands timing, restraint, and presentation, while Claressa's behavior feels rushed, like she's trying to fast-forward credibility instead of letting it develop naturally. That's why the copying stands out so clearly. It's no longer about inspiration, it's about replication. When outfits, language, and even life milestones start lining up too closely, people notice, and once they do, it's hard to unsee. Instead of carving out her own lane, Claressa keeps circling someone else's, which only reinforces the idea that she's more focused on comparison than legacy. At the core of it all is insecurity wrapped in performance. The relationship, the baby talk, the constant need to prove proximity to a man who clearly values privacy all feel like proof-seeking behavior. And proof-seeking never ages well. Real stability doesn't need constant announcements. It shows up quietly, consistently, and without pressure. That's why people say this situation has an expiration date, not because anyone wants it to fail, but because it appears to be held together by attention rather than substance.
Peyton NFL Man of the Year presented by Nationwide. It is Wagner. What an incredible honor this is. It's not about the stats, it's not about what happens on the field. It's about Walter's legacy and fulfilling that legacy.
Can't copy that. That's awesome.
Meanwhile, Remy stays untouched by the chaos, watching everything unfold without having to lift a finger, and that contrast is exactly why public perception keeps leaning in her favor whether Claressa realizes it or not. At the core of this situation is self-awareness. When someone is truly secure, they don't feel the need to announce every win, every relationship detail, or every future plan. They let life speak for them. That difference between these two women keeps getting louder without either one saying much. One moves quietly, protecting her image and choosing when to be visible. The other constantly broadcasts, trying to control the narrative before it even has time to form. That alone explains why the public keeps shifting. Another issue is how quickly the focus drifted away from actual accomplishments. There was a time when people discussed Claressa's work, her career moments, and professional milestones. Now, those conversations are buried under personal updates and comparison-driven content. When people stop talking about what you do and start talking about who you're trying to outdo, that's a warning sign. It means the message is getting lost. Instead of elevating her platform, she's turned it into a reaction space, and that rarely works long-term. The relationship dynamic only adds pressure. When one person values privacy and the other thrives on attention, friction is inevitable. It doesn't make either wrong, but it does require balance, and right now that balance looks off. Constant explanations, repeated reminders of commitment, and visible efforts to prove legitimacy signal instability rather than strength. Stable relationships don't need daily defense. The internet also remembers patterns. Once repetition sets in, people stop giving the benefit of the doubt and everything starts to feel performative. That's where Claressa is losing people, not from one mistake, but from consistency. Meanwhile, Remy benefits from saying less. Silence, when used correctly, becomes its own response. In the end, this isn't about competition. It's about alignment between values, actions, and identity, and right now only one side appears fully aligned.